In the previous lesson in this lead guitar course, we were talking about the different types of guitar solos that people play for bluegrass and traditional country. So today in this guitar lesson, we're going to study the second type of guitar solo that I mentioned. The second type of guitar solo is when we play a bunch of stock guitar licks over the top of a chord progression. This will make sense here in a minute once I explain this, but basically what we're going to do is take a bunch of shorter guitar licks and then combine them, play them back to back and piece them together to create a full-length solo. One of the shorter guitar licks that we'll be working with today sounds something like this right here. Something like that, and then we'll have some other licks that sound similar, but we're going to play them all back to back. I'll show you how I can piece these together to create a full-length solo, and we're really focusing on improvising and being able to play hard-driving bluegrass and traditional country guitar solos that sound kind of like that over any song in any key. So here in a minute, we're going to work through a practice guitar solo. And this practice guitar solo is a solo that you can play along with the song, Will the Circle Be Unbroken? We'll have a tablature download right below this video player here at countryguitaronline.com. And we'll also have a full-length backing track that you can use to practice this guitar solo that we're about to learn, and you can practice your improvising skills in the key of G. So great lesson. I really think this is going to be helpful for those of y'all out there that are wanting to improve your lead guitar improvising in a country and bluegrass style. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to work through the practice guitar solo right now, and I'm going to give you all some great tips on playing lead guitar along the way. So here on the screen, we've got the first line of the tablature for the practice guitar solo that we're going to work through. You can download this tablature right below the video player here at countryguitaronline.com. One real important thing to keep in mind when you're learning this is that this line on the screen, these four measures, we're going to call this lick 1. So measures 2 through 5, that's lick 1. And here in a minute, we're going to learn lick 2, lick 3, and lick 4. They'll be kind of similar to this, but we're going to play all 4 of these licks right in a row, and we're going to create a full-length guitar solo. So let's check this out here. Let's go ahead and ignore the pickup measure for now, since we're actually not playing anything in that measure. And the main guitar solo will start in the second measure. So when we play through this line, we got 4 measures in total. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we've got some stock licks, and these are just basic licks, and we're playing these right over the top of the G major chord. Here in a minute, rhythm guitar will switch to the C chord, but we are actually going to play the exact same type of licks, just straight over the top of the C chord. We're not really thinking about structuring the licks around any open chords or anything like that. Basically just playing standard licks over the top of every single chord in this progression. So right here we're playing it over the G chord, except for we get to the G7 chord in the 5th measure. But if we look at measure 2, let me just count that out. 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and that's one of those stock country and bluegrass licks. Measure 3, pretty basic. It's all downstrokes. So if we combine measures 2 and 3, so here's measures 4 and 5. Break that down a little bit. Measure 4, it's all eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Measure 5. 1, 2, 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3. Combine measures 4 and 5. So now we've got basically a 4-measure long lick in total, and we're playing this right over the G chord, and that's what this line is. Let's play this line one more time. Measures 2 through 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's talk really quick about what guitar scales we're using. We're pretty much just using 2 guitar scales, and that's it right here. And this is how a lot of this type of soloing is done. Focusing on the major scale, that's the first scale, and then we're focusing on the blues scale. And we've talked about this a lot in other lessons. But for this particular lick, we're focusing on the 5th position, key of G. And the 5th position in the key of G is just right here near the nut. And using all those open strings. You know, it's real easy to do a bunch of hammer-ons and pull-offs when you're in the 5th position, key of G. And we're looking at the major scale, the G major scale. And then we've got the blues scale. Got a little bluesier sound. We've talked about this in a lot of other lessons, but I just want to keep repeating it so we can really get this down. And cannot stress enough how important it is to learn these guitar scales, because then you know where the notes are coming from, and all of these type of guitar licks, they'll make a lot more sense. Now let's learn the second line of the tablature, and we're going to call this 4-measure long line, we're going to call this lick number 2. Let's take a listen to this lick number 2, measures 6 through 9. So that's the second lick that we're going to learn. It's 4 measures long, and you probably already noticed that the rhythm guitar is starting out with 2 measures of C major chord. You can see the chord names written in right above the tablature. So rhythm is playing C major chord for 2 measures, and then they switch to the G major chord for 2 measures. The point that I'm trying to make here is that this is just a stock guitar lick that we're playing over the top of both of these chords. The chords are changing, but since we're playing these stock licks that belong in the key of G, we can play these licks over the top of any chord that belongs in the key of G. So we're basically playing a 1-4-5 chord progression here in this solo, G, C, D type of stuff, and we can play all these type of stock licks over the top of these type of chord progressions. You can change up the chord progression if you want. That's why this stuff is so helpful. And we've got a bunch of these type of guitar licks in our guitar lick library here at Country Guitar Online. Check it out right below this video. I'll have a link to our guitar lick library. You can learn similar licks and use them in the same type of way that we're using these today. Let's break this down a little bit further. Let's take a look at measures 6 and 7. Measure 6, that's all eighth notes, and it's actually pretty simple. We're doing a hammer-on from our left middle to our left ring finger. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's all eighth notes. And then measure 7, that is all eighth notes as well. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so that's measure 7. Let's combine measures 6 and 7 one more time. Now let's add on measures 8 and 9 right here. This one is really useful. You can use this in a bunch of country and bluegrass songs. And I'm actually doing all of that with my left middle finger. Let's count measure 8. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then right at that note we slide up into measure 9 right here. 1 and 2 and 3. It's hard to learn this without learning both of those measures together because they're kind of connected with that slide. But pause the video if you want to work on those two measures before we move on to the next 4 measure long lick. Let's play this line one more time all together. Measures 6 through 9. And right now we're going to move on to the third line of the tablature here. And this is lick number 3. It's 4 measures long. And the rhythm guitar is playing G major for 3 measures and then E minor, that last measure on the screen. So take a listen. 1, 2, 3, 4.